Well, welcome everyone to our fourth event of the year for Fellowship Beyond Numbers, which is presented to you by Third Space and City Bible Forum. My name's David Minty and I'm going to be your host today. If you've been invited by someone and you're wondering who on earth we are, Fellowship Beyond Numbers is a network of people who broadly work in the numbers industry. So actuaries, accountants, superannuation people, anything to do with numbers. We don't exclude lawyers or people who work with words, but I guess the sort of topics that we're interested in are ones which sort of extend from that sort of area. We're an open network, so we're happy to have anyone come along, people of different faith positions, people of no faith position. As long as you're happy to be open with engaging with the bigger questions of life beyond numbers. And along with our quarterly events, we meet regularly as small hope groups to support one another. And later in our program, I'll share a little bit more about how those groups work. So welcome, everyone. Now, before I invite Yong to speak to us, this is just a reminder, there will be time for Q&A at the end. So while heckling is allowed, if we can leave the Q&A to the end of the interview, that'd be great. And so let's meet our presenter, Yong Goh. Yong, welcome to Fellowship Beyond Numbers. Now, I'd say you're the only person I know who is both an actuary and a film distributor. So I'm intrigued to know a lot more about that. They're sort of somewhat different areas, or they seem somewhat different areas. So, but first of all, I understand you were born in Malaysia. So what brought you to being an actuary working in life insurance in Australia?
Thanks, David, and hi, everyone. Great to be here and good to see so many old friends. So glad for the privilege of sharing the story.
Thank you.
We as you say, we come from Malaysia, and I guess there was a time when my parents and some of their friends were looking for a better life. And in Malaysia, you have a bit of racial discrimination if you're non-Malay, and so that was a limit. And I think my parents wanted us to have a better opportunity, and so they and a couple of people migrated over here. And but I'm so grateful for that, because this is where we as a family came to know Jesus. Yeah. So that was pretty, yeah.
No, that's pretty significant. And what then? Why actuarial? What brought you into that space?
So okay, so I'm Chinese, right? If you haven't worked that out. All right. All right. So I'm supposed to be either choose medicine or law or engineering, right? Medicine, blood, law. I didn't think I could speak. I was quite shy back then before I met someone that I met at when I joined ministry, and he was a real extrovert, and under Earl Roberts, I sort of discovered that I had a bit of a outgoing personality, slightly. Anyway, so those two therefore went to me, and my mom picked up a brochure. Now, I should have found it. Probably worth a lot now, but one of those cycle-style cardboard sort of situations, or yellow cardstock. The actuaries, right? And I like maths, so this was meant to be, meant to pay well. This could be it, we thought. The only thing was that there was the logo, I think, was Mort with the sickle.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? So
death.
But still, so and at that time we had just more or less more about come to faith. And I came across this where, how do you decide? I said, well, why don't I ask God for a sign? If I get a scholarship in life, do they still offer scholarships these days? Or is it because of belt tightening there are no scholarships? I'm out of touch.
Yeah,
they are scholarships. Yeah. So I said, well, God, I'll put up my little fleece out, a sign. If I get a scholarship, I'll take it. This is what you want me to do. City Mutual, some of you may or may not, it's long since gone because it became Capita, and then they ran into capital problems, and then they got swallowed up by MLC for $1. And so I got a scholarship with City Mutual, and I felt then that this was what God wanted me to do.
What's interesting, because both started out on similar paths. I had a cadetship from the Prudential, which has also since been swallowed up. I think if there are any remaining liabilities, is somewhere in the Commonwealth Bank or whoever bought the Commonwealth Bank's life insurance last. So you then went to work as an actuary with City Mutual.
Yes, I did. So, and then they got swallowed up, like I said, by Capita. And but during that time, they had an opportunity to work with they were installing a new computing system called Capsule. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. I like computers. I did that. And then Capita got taken over by MLC. And that was exciting because we started a new division called Retirement Savings. So I went to do that for a while. But at about this time, I felt God. I had been on a couple of short-term mission trips when I was a student, and I started to think about where I wanted to spend my life. Right? Should I spend it sort of making profits for a life insurance company? And there's nothing probably wrong with that. I just want to put that out there, and I want to say also that I'm very grateful for the actuarial profession. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to train as an actuary. I think actuaries do a lot of good. However, for me, I was thinking, maybe I ought to be serving God. And so MLC went through a period of voluntary redundancies. I was just chatting with someone who said that they were redundant 3 times. So you're very, very redundant now. No heckling. Sorry, this is the worst heckling. But I put my hand up because I thought that it would save someone else from their job, maybe someone who really wanted their job, and also I wanted to go into ministry. So this would sort of kickstart me. And my manager at the time was Gwyn Jarrett. I still remember his father was the Baptist minister, Reginald Jarrett. And so whilst Gwyn himself wasn't a Christian, he sort of got it. He really applauded me for taking that step. And so I remember with my friend Keith, who we happen to go to the same church now, actually. Keith was there at the time. I said, for my farewell speech, I don't know what possessed me. I said, we're going to sing them a song. I'm going to sing a song, People Need the Lord. And will you play the keyboard for me? And so I don't know whether I'll do it again. But we did.
Where did you sing?
Well, the farewell sort of party was probably in the cafeteria or something at the buildings in North Sydney, North Sydney campus. Yeah.
And so this was your your response to the to everyone wishing you well.
That's right.
Right, wish them well.
That's right. That's right. There was no the voice show, otherwise I would have gone for it. But I think I was the person that I joined, Earl Roberts. He said, if you share he quoted me a verse from the Bible that said that if you share the gospel with everyone, then sort of their blood isn't on your hands, right? I know it's quite severe, but I took that quite at heart, and I thought, well, I better. So I had a couple of lunchtime meetings where I tried to tell people about the new adventure and tell them about Jesus. So yeah.
And so that then led you into quite a different direction, in the sense that you now were looking for a ministry to be involved in. What did that become? What did you actually go into with Earl?
Yeah, so I was actually what caused me to join that ministry was I had been involved with them at university, right, at Macquarie. And it was a university called it was a ministry called Student Life. Anyone here went to Macquarie? Oh, a couple. Did you? Well, it was Student Life around the time. Okay, so it was a Christian group, Student Life. But really, in the 90s, Dr. Bill Bright, who was the founder of Campus Crusade, came out to Australia and had a meeting at the Wesley Mission, right, in the city, 225th Street. And it wasn't so much what he said, but what the various national directors of the various countries, Indonesia, Thailand, and some of these Southeast Asian countries said, because this is the region we're in. And one after another, they would say, oh, we shared the 4 spiritual laws, which is a little gospel tract, really, and with 4,015 people and 3,987 quick received Christ. So the statistics were just incredible. Maybe I've always had a lot of statistics, but strange that. And I thought, gee, this is a very fruitful ministry. I've been involved with them on campus. And whilst I had said to myself, I want a real job. I don't want to walk around jeans like a campus worker. I want to, wear a suit and stuff. I guess God has a sense of humor, and lo and behold, I found myself thinking, maybe I ought to join this group. Maybe I ought to join this group. And something that also featured into my mind was the national director who was really instrumental in our family coming to faith because he had a part-time job as the director of evangelism at Wesley Mission, right? And he was a great preacher. I was really impacted by God's love, washing for my sins and those things. I recall that if he was looking for an assistant, I thought to have the opportunity to work for a great boss, right? Someone you can learn from. This was a good opportunity. So I saw that and I put my hand up for it. And so when I was with him for 10 years. So and then I left. So this is in the 90s, and I had three jobs really. I was his assistant. And then he had the vision for a national evangelistic campaign, which ties into the current story, because there was the original Jesus video, and there are some of these booklets at the back there. So feel free to take one. So this one, which was a real phenomenon, because this film is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most widely translated film of all time, 2,100 languages. Right? It's easy to think of a language that the chances are it's in more languages than you can probably think of. Yeah. Right? So, and it's been seen 10 billion times, 10 billion viewings, not necessarily 10 million individual people, but it's been viewed 10 billion times, and 600 million have indicated decisions for Christ. So it's been tremendously successful. Earl Roberts had this vision of what's called Jesus Gift to the Nation, of working with the churches to offer this to every home. Would anyone like to hazard a guess as to how many videos we saw distributed in the course of the next few years? So I'll give this notebook as a prize. Also they're freely available, so it's not much of a sorry about that. I'll throw in a gift back. So I'll take three guesses. Who would hazard a guess?
4 million.
Okay, lower. I like that faith. Would you like to guess?
1.7.
Lower. 750,000 to 1 million. Right? So that was still, pretty good. So it was remarkable. I saw churches of every denomination, Anglican, Baptist, churches of all denominations uniting around this. And it sort of ties back to where I am now, because there's a new one coming. And when the current national director heard about this, he gave me a call, and I was involved.
Okay. So you were with Campus Crusade for Christ for 10 years.
Yeah.
But then you returned to the actuarial profession.
Yes. I had come back from a Billy Graham conference, and I was at a crossroad. I was thinking about what do I do, and I was thinking, do I stay on in Christian ministry like Martin and Peter Keldor and maybe work with working people, or do I simply become a lay person? And I felt at the time that I'll just try to be a lay person, try to save, try to give, try to support missions for giving, and try to be a Christian in the workplace. And that led me into it was a miracle in itself, because a lot of the actuarial recruiters, they looked at my CV and said, you've been in operational roles for 10 years, we can't get you an actuarial job. But there was an opening. Thank God for Impossible Undertakings. There was one at the time. Sorry, I shouldn't. MLC had a unit pricing issue, as they do. And it was 3 weeks before Christmas. They had a need for someone who could sort of parachute into the situation as a business analyst, junior project manager, a Christian man who ran a headhunting firm, Harry Hammond, for that exact. He was placing people, saw this opening. I went in to see Rana on Friday, and the interview must have gone well, because he said at the end of it, when can you start? I said, well, Monday. And he said, yeah, okay.
So, you can have a weekend off.
Yeah, that's right. And then 3 weeks became, so then someone got pregnant, so there was a maternity leave sort of situation I had to cover in operational risk. So that covered me till about August. But during that time, I'd run into Sean McKing, I don't know whether you know him. He's a consultant. We had met back in the capsule days. He'd been a consultant brought in to look at capsule. And when we ran into each other in the corridors of MLC, he'd been looking to expand ASCID into Sydney. You know, we spoke, and it was he who picked up a gig at the AMP as my contract there came to an end. So how God provided, you know, I was so when I made the transition from ministry back in Singapore, I don't know whether you've ever been in a situation where you just don't know where to go. What should I sell mobile phones? Should I look for paid work in the Catholic Church? You know, because it's a paid role, and I've sort of come from the Christian ministry. Or what do I do? But I guess I saw God leading me in the midst of great uncertainty. We're all familiar with the sectaries. Somehow leading me yet again, and miraculously, I think, first a role at MLC, and then the AMP gig was an actuarial role. So it was really quite remarkable if you can grasp what I'm saying. For having been out of actuarial work for 10 years to pick up, and then lots of imposter syndrome. You know, don't really know what I'm doing here. A lot of winging it. A lot of all that stuff.
Hopefully, the fact that you had the professional background and things like that, you knew how to wing it. You had a code of conduct. Sorry for that ad. Sorry for that ad, but don't forget to get your 5 points for your in your professional practice for professionalism, won't you? So
yeah, I think that's right. I think that the principles are there. You know, the principles that humanity. Yeah, all those things. ACSD 101, ACSD, all those ACSD things.
And so, you know, as you indicated earlier, you've now sort of gone almost back to the future in now being back in a role similar to what you were doing when you were with Campus Crusade for Christ with this new film.
Yeah. So from AMP, but if I can just say that what someone was there, Andrew Bowman was headhunted to Tower, and I went from a valuation role to a group pricing role. Had a lot of fun in the group pricing. Ronald was on my team. So pleased to see how the guys that are in your team are now surpassed you, gone to bigger roles. But those were fun days. I enjoyed group pricing. But look, that came to a tough end. I think in hindsight I would have done things differently. I had a tough boss, and things didn't work out so well, and I ended up leaving. But I think and that was actually quite scary. That was very challenging. I was the only breadwinner. Wife wasn't working, so sleepless nights, looking at YouTube sermons, and thank God for YouTube and Rick Warren's sermons. He's the guy who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life. What to do when your future looks bleak. What to do when you're faced with despair and all those sorts of things. So drew a lot of comfort out of that. Didn't really know how it was all going to end, but I guess it was a way for God to again tell me that I needed to trust in Him to provide, not my job or anything. So I was working for myself for a while in investments, and then, but in January of this year, the national director, I get a call from him because he gets wind of the Jesus film, but in a new form, right? It's coming out in an animated form now, because they want to reach young generations. The target age range is 9 to 12, and if you're interested, I've got a few clips to show that to you. Actually, should we play one clip now? Just a short, sort of the 2 or 3 minute clip.
Yep, Martin will do the tech.
This is a very last minute thing, but I said to Martin, what good would it be if I talked about film? I didn't show you any clips at all. That would be a real set.
nations that aren't really, you go to the middle of Africa, or if you go to, Manhattan, New York City, and young people who resonate with animation. You have to look at the world globally. There is a very vibrant young generational cohort that God is raising up. The question is, how will we who consider ourselves leaders today, leaders in the church, how do we serve them? This film will launch in theaters in 31 different nations and go beyond that very rapidly into every language that Jesus film is currently in, over 2,000. I think it's beyond an evangelistic tool. I think this is going to be a culture shaping tool. So that's why we partnered with an outside studio to develop this. They have artists coming in from Pixar, Disney. The standard that we're going after is theater quality animation, because the story of Jesus is worth it. So this is going to have an impact on multiple generations. It's going to reach people that wouldn't otherwise be reached. When I think about trying to get emotional, I think about the big picture. How awesome is it to say I was a part of it? It's not about a movie. It's about Jesus. That's the mission.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've seen now some footage of how the film used to be used. That's why they've had 10 billion views. Yeah. Well, I've actually been on a mission trip like that to India, where the dust settles. They roll the sheet up, they put the projector out, and villagers come out, and maybe they see a film in the language they've never seen a film in their language. And it's just so powerful because it's not trying to be clever. It's not like The Chosen. It's not entertainment. It's just the word of God. It's the gospel of Luke. And that was the vision that God gave Dr. Bill Bright, to have an evangelistic movement. And this is coming out in 100 languages in day one, 100 in 34 countries, right? So it was scheduled for 2026, but we are hearing that it might be delayed. So we'll get the official word. But regardless of that, we're seeing 3 phases. Phase 1, which is the phase we're in, is like we're calling it the John the Baptist phase, because it's about preparing the way. We're trying to get to 10,000 churches, right? So because we want every church to have this opportunity. When we put this in the cinemas, we want churches, pastors to be able to say, this is coming in the cinemas. Get your friends to this. We want it to be in cinemas because it's in the public. And also, sometimes, much as we love our churches, the sound equipment is that good and stuff. And also, it's still sometimes a barrier. We don't want there to be any barriers. But it's cinema, it's just a movie. So the first phase is the John the Baptist phase. The second phase is when it's in the cinemas. And then the third phase, it'll be used in broad applications elsewhere, right? This film is still being used 40 years after its release. And when Craig Roberts, who is the CEO of YouthWorks, who has got 225,000 kids every week doing SRE material from YouthWorks, heard about this, he said, oh, when we get our hands on this, we can put this in our SRE material. I don't know whether you saw this, but I've got a few other clips to show you. But this thing is being done in the Unreal Engine, which means that it's VR capable. It's not going to be 3D in the cinemas, but we're at our roadshow. When we had our roadshow in June, we had people with goggles to step into the world so that our children can see and experience the world of Jesus for themselves and have their own faith.
So it will, in fact, effectively they're doing more than one thing, even with just this one film. It's fascinating that you say that the Jesus film itself was translated into over 2,000 languages. How on earth did they bring that about? Because I can't imagine there are that many Bible translators available.
Well, I think they might. Well, we partner with 1,800 agencies, so I think just in partnership, and that's another thing. So here in Australia, it's been remarkable. Just like in the 90s, I'm seeing such a tremendous spirit of collaboration across so many denominations and across mission, because Christian organizations, from Compassion to World Vision, to the Bible Society, all wishing to collaborate. And that alone might be a really incredible thing that's happening, right? Beyond the film. This film is maybe just a catalyst for all of these things.
Yeah, it sounds like a really great initiative and that sort of thing. In your own life, though, you've obviously moved from ministry, corporate life to ministry, back, corporate life, ministry again. How do you and your family keep aligned with your Christian vocation with all those sort of changes that are taking place? It must be something of a challenge.
Well, I it's above my pay grade, that one. But I'm just
it's his pay grade, yes.
Just struggling like everyone else. I think trying to walk in the Spirit, as in keep short accounts with God. If you do something wrong, confess your sin to Him. And know that He forgives you, and inhale what again. Keep short accounts. Keep trying to go to church. Try to read the Bible.
Yeah. No, and so what discipline has particularly encouraged you to keep persevering through all these changes?
Helps to have a good wife. A good wife is a blessing. I think just I think I'm so I'm not even going to keep him a quiet time. Never quiet time. Look, I think in my case it's just the grace of God. God, there's a song that says, my heart is going to wander, but you keep bringing it back. That's I think that's God.
Yeah, it's the way He works in our lives. So, is there one point you particularly like people to recall from the talk today, and perhaps something they can act on themselves?
The first point in the thanks for that. The first point in the 4 spiritual laws that was the track that a billion copies was presented. It opens out like this: God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life. I was thinking about what you're going to ask me. I was thinking there's one thing, right? Isn't that just the best thing? I mean, God loved me, a sinner, right? And He went to the cross for me, right? Got me a place in heaven. That is the best thing. That is the best news ever. There's one thing. So it's not even about the film and all that. It's that God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life. This amazing creator God, the one who spoke and created the whole universe, knows you personally, knows Anthony, knows Young, knows Ronald, knows Bill, this reverse acting is going on. Knows Jonathan. Imagine that. God who flung stars into space knows you by name. I mean, for you to know that deeply, Jeremy by name, know that deeply, and it's a wonderful plan for your life. That's got to be, wasn't it? Isn't that going to be the greatest truth ever? Which is why we want a whole generation to know His love.
And why we want to be sharing it with other people as well. Young, thank you very much indeed. Can we thank Young for this interview? And of course, that means time for Q&A, which you graciously agreed to. So, do we have any questions from the floor? Otherwise, I've got some real nasty ones. No, they're very good. Would you like to see another clip?
I've got a couple of other clips. I've got one which shows you sort of the research that went into the accuracy of it. Or would you like to see one which is a drone flyover of the set? All right, I'll do the set. All right. I'll do I'll do the biblical historical one first. I think.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the very first things we did when we started this journey was obviously working from the scriptures and then building up mountains of research. We contacted Dr. Heiser for information regarding the spiritual realm, the depiction of angels. We contacted Dr. Rittmeyer, who's considered one of the very best in archaeology, theology, and first century history. All of this information, literally gigs and gigs of research material, is accompanying this production. For many of us, it is truly the greatest Bible study of all time. It's just a sneak peek of some of those efforts.
Way that the Bible talks about the members of the heavens, God's heavenly family, his heavenly partners, serves as a template for the way God thinks about and talks about us as believers, as his earthly family and his earthly partners.
Other government